My friends, I come before you today with a message burning in my heart. A word that will awaken your soul, stir your spirit, and lift your eyes to the heavens. For some of you, this message will shake you from your slumber. For others, it will be confirmation that God is moving. Yes, even now behind the scenes, preparing something that eyes have not seen, ears have not heard, and hearts have not even imagined. You have been walking through a valley, and some of you have been camped there so long you've started calling it home. But hear me when I say this. The valley is not your destination. God has a mountain prepared for you. He has a door, not just any door, but a divine door, a door that no man can shut. And when God gets ready to move, no devil in hell can stop it. When God says enough, chains break. When God says go forward, seas part. When God says it's time, doors swing open. There are moments in your life when the atmosphere around you starts to shift. You can't always explain it. It's not written in the sky. And yet something deep in your soul tells you that change is coming. Not just any change, but divine, holy transformation. An elevation ordained by heaven. The problem is that we often miss the signs. We misinterpret the pressure. We misjudge the pain. But if you have eyes to see and ears to hear, the Spirit of the Lord is whispering to you, saying, I am about to do a new thing. Do you not perceive it? Yes, beloved. There are signs, clear signs, that God is about to open new doors in your life. Not all signs look like miracles. Some look like midnight. Some look like betrayal. Some look like silence, but they are signs nonetheless. So I ask you, are you paying attention? Are you discerning the season you're in? Or have you grown so weary that you stopped watching for the hand of God? Let me speak to your soul today. The door you've been praying for, the breakthrough you've been waiting on, the answer you've cried out for in the middle of the night, God heard it and He is responding. But before He opens that door, He often sends signals, spiritual indicators that something new is about to be birthed in your life. You must recognize the signs, for they are not always obvious to the natural eye. But to the one who walks in faith, they are unmistakable. First, when God is about to open new doors in your life, He will often shut others completely. And I'm not talking about gentle closings. I'm talking about slamming shut doors. Opportunities that once flowed are now blocked. People who were once with you are gone. Places you once thrived in now feel foreign and dry. Hear me. This is not rejection. It is redirection. God is not punishing you. He is preparing you. Don't curse the closed door. Thank God for it. Because He's not closing you out. He's closing you into His purpose, His calling, His divine will. You see, when a door shuts in your face, it hurts. It can feel like loss, like failure, like abandonment. But what if I told you that closed doors are proof that God is near? What if I told you that when one door shuts, it's because a better one is being built? You may cry over what you lost, but you'll rejoice when you see what's coming. Because the God you serve doesn't take things away without a plan to replace them with something better. The second sign is divine discontent. You used to be content with where you were. The job was good, the relationships were comfortable, the environment was predictable. But suddenly, that comfort begins to feel like a cage. You wake up with a heaviness The things that once brought you peace now bring you restlessness. This is not depression, my friend. This is divine agitation. God is stirring your nest, just like the eagle stirs her young, not to torment you, but to teach you how to fly. You were not created to stay in the same place forever, and sometimes God has to make where you are uncomfortable so you can move into what's next. The shaking is a sign. The irritation is a sign. Don't ignore it. That agitation in your spirit is heaven's trumpet saying, get ready. It's time to move. You can't build tents in a place God is calling you to pass through. If you stay too long in the wrong season, you'll miss the door to the right one. Third, when God is about to open a new door, you will face unusual resistance. Oh yes, I said resistance. Because when the devil sees that God is setting something up for you, he doesn't wait until the door is open to attack. You better believe he comes early. He sends storms, distractions, confusion. He sends people to mock you, circumstances to discourage you, and lies to distort your vision. Why? Because even the enemy can smell promotion. Resistance is not always a sign you're going the wrong way. Sometimes it's the clearest sign you're getting close. The enemy doesn't waste energy on people who pose no threat to his kingdom. If you're facing hell right now, take heart. It's because heaven is preparing to release something into your life. You are under attack because you're carrying something precious. You are being pressed because you are being positioned. The pain is not punishment. It's preparation. Don't you dare quit now. You're too close. Fourth, when God is about to open new doors in your life, he will often send divine connections, people you did not expect, encounters you could not have orchestrated, moments that seem ordinary but are soaked in destiny. These are not just people passing through. These are messengers, carriers of favor, keys to your next season. They may not look like angels. They may not come wearing titles, but their presence ignites something in you. Their words open your eyes. Their wisdom prepares your feet. Their favor unlocks places you could never have reached on your own. Do not ignore these divine appointments. God often hides purpose in people. He wraps your next level in a conversation, that stranger who speaks a word that pierces your heart, that mentor who walks into your life when you are about to give up, that door that opens through a simple introduction. These are not coincidences. These are confirmation. God is strategic. He will send the right person at the right time to say the right thing that pushes you into the right place. You've been praying for open doors, but God is sending people instead, because his method is not always a miracle. It's often a man or woman of God carrying the answer to your cry. And you must be discerning. Some people come to distract, but others are sent to direct. Some come to drain, but others will help you draw from the well of purpose that has been buried under years of fear, regret, and hesitation. Fifth, when God is about to open new doors in your life, your appetite changes. Oh, listen closely now. What once satisfied your soul will no longer feed you. You'll find yourself hungry for deeper things. The music that used to entertain you will start to grieve your spirit. The conversations that once made you laugh will now feel empty. The places you used to frequent will begin to feel uncomfortable, even foreign. This isn't you being judgmental. This is you being sanctified. God is separating you from the shallow so he can reveal the sacred. He is increasing your hunger for righteousness. Your soul starts to crave the word. You begin waking up earlier just to pray. You feel drawn to solitude. Your spirit becomes sensitive. This is not weakness, it's preparation. You are being made ready. You're shedding old skin because the oil for the next door requires a fresh vessel. God cannot pour new wine into old wine skins. So he purifies your desires. He changes your taste. You no longer want what the world offers. You want what heaven is releasing. And let me tell you something. This hunger is a gift because God never stirs a hunger he doesn't intend to fill. When your appetite shifts, when you lose the craving for the common, when you start longing for the holy, that is a sure sign that God is about to open a door that requires a consecrated heart. 6, there will be a season of silence. Oh yes, don't let that silence fool you. Silence is not absence. Silence is strategy. There are moments when God stops speaking, not because he has abandoned you, but because he is watching to see what you will do with what he already said. The teacher is always silent during the test. Some of you have been crying out, God, why can't I hear you? But could it be that heaven is holding its breath, waiting to see if you will walk by faith and not by sight? If you will trust what he said, even when you can't trace what he's doing. Let me speak boldly now. This silence is sacred. It is the incubator of destiny. Seeds do not grow in noise. They grow in hidden places, dark places, quiet places. Don't despise the silence. Embrace it. Because while you wait in the stillness, heaven is building something behind the veil. The silence is where strength is forged. The silence is where roots grow deep. The silence is where you discover that your faith was never in what you felt it was in. And when God finally speaks again, when that door swings wide open, you will be ready because you learn to walk without a spotlight. You learn to worship in the dark. You learn to stand when no one was clapping. You learn to believe when everything around you screamed doubt. That is the kind of faith that unlocks heaven. And 7th, listen to me with all your heart. Before God opens a new door in your life, he will always test your obedience. Not partial obedience, not delayed obedience, but radical, immediate, unquestioning obedience. Because the next door requires a level of trust that most are unwilling to offer. God will ask you to do something that doesn't make sense. He will ask you to walk away from something secure. He will ask you to sow when you feel like hoarding. He will ask you to speak when silence feels safe. He will ask you to forgive when revenge would feel better. And in that moment, everything in your flesh will scream. But your spirit must rise up and say, yes, Lord. Do you remember Abraham? God told him to leave everything familiar. Not after the details were explained. Not once the path was clear, but immediately go to the land I will show you. God didn't even name the place. Why? Because obedience isn't about knowing the destination. It's about trusting the voice. God is not looking for people who just want open doors. He's looking for people who trust him enough to walk through them without hesitation. Your obedience is the key. And the sooner you obey, the sooner the door opens. But if you delay, if you negotiate, if you hesitate, the door may remain shut. Not because God doesn't want to bless you, but because he refuses to release blessings to disobedient hands. The next level is not about talent. It's not about popularity. It's not about charisma. It's about character. Will you trust God when the path is unclear? Will you obey him when it costs you everything? Will you say yes when it feels like the hardest thing in the world? Because that yes, my friend, that trembling, tear-empty, faith-soaked yes will split the heavens and shake the gates of hell. That yes will open doors no man can shut. Let me speak directly to the weary soul today. You've been waiting, you've been pressing, you've been praying, and you've been wondering, God, is it ever going to happen? Is the door ever going to open? Let me assure you, it is. But God is not in a rush. He's in control. And before he opens the door, he prepares the vessel. Because a door opened too soon can destroy what it was meant to bless. A door opened without preparation can turn promotion into a curse. God loves you too much to open a door you're not ready for. So instead of asking him to hurry, ask him to prepare you. Instead of demanding a timeline, surrender your trust. Instead of knocking frantically, rest in knowing the one who holds the keys is also the one who knows your heart. There is a door with your name on it. It was carved by grace. It was sealed with purpose. It is guarded by angels. And when God says it's time, no devil, no delay, no deception, no distraction can keep it clothed. So rise up, lift your head, shake off the dust, wipe the tears, strengthen your faith, let fire fill your bones. God is not finished with you. He is just getting started. The door is near, the door is holy, the door is your next season, your next assignment, your next elevation. And God is already turning the knob. Stay in position, stay in prayer, stay in faith. Because I declare in the authority of heaven, the door is opening. But listen, before the door opens, God will often allow pressure to increase. Yes, the warfare intensifies. The attacks become more personal. The confusion grows louder. Why? Because hell does not war against something that isn't about to shift the atmosphere. When the enemy senses that heaven has marked you for transition, he will throw everything he has to distract you, to discourage you, to detain you. You think it's just stress. You think it's just a rough week. But no, beloved, it is a spiritual assault meant to stop you from stepping into the threshold of your next assignment. This is why you must not give up right before breakthrough. The greatest opposition often comes before the greatest opportunity. You will feel like quitting. You will feel like quitting. You will feel like your prayers have become echoes in an empty room. But that is the moment to dig your heels in, to grip the cross tighter, to stand even when your legs tremble. Because just beyond the pressure is the promise. And just beyond the tears is the testimony. Pressure is proof you're carrying something worth birthing. You are pregnant with purpose. The contractions of destiny are not meant to destroy you. They are pushing you to the door. God is using the shaking to shift you. He is using the discomfort to deliver you. He is using the storm to strengthen you. And though it feels like chaos, in heaven's eyes it's perfect timing. And let me speak to the ones who have been overlooked. You've been faithful in the background. You served when no one clapped. You gave when no one thanked you. You prayed for others while your own heart was breaking. You've watched others walk through doors while you waited in silence, wondering when your turn would come. Hear me now. God has not forgotten you. Your name is written in his hands. Your tears are in his bottle. Your labor has not been in vain. Promotion does not come from people. It does not come from platform. It comes from the Lord. And when God decides to lift you, he will bypass the opinions of men, the limits of systems, and the expectations of those who tried to box you in. He will raise you up in such a way that those who ignored you will have to watch you walk through the very doors they said would never open. God delights in taking the overlooked and making them overcomers. He takes the least likely and uses them mightily. He doesn't choose based on credentials. He chooses based on surrender. And if your heart has remained pure, if your motives have stayed holy, he will, what you did in secret, he will reward in the light. But don't be surprised if the door doesn't look like what you expected. God is the master of mystery. He often wraps blessings in burdens. He hides breakthroughs inside battles. He places glory inside garments of grief. You're looking for a grand door, something flashy, something celebrated. But God might open a door that looks small to man, but leads to eternal impact. Never underestimate the power of a quiet calling. The open door might not be a platform. It might be a person. It might be a conversation. It might be a small act of obedience that changes a generation. Some of the greatest doors in Scripture were disguised as interruptions. Moses didn't expect a burning bush. David didn't expect Goliath. Esther didn't expect the king's favor, but they stepped through anyway, and history was changed. What if your interruption is really your invitation? What if what you're complaining about is the very thing God is using to elevate you? What if your detour is actually divine? You see, we often pray for open doors, but we resist the process that leads to them. We want the glory without the groaning. We want the prize without the pressure. But God says, no, child, I am preparing you not just to walk through the door, but to remain standing once you do. Because not every open door is a blessing. Some doors are traps dressed as opportunities. That's why you must walk in discernment. Not every door that glows is God. Not every offer is holy. The enemy can open doors too. Doors of compromise, doors of distraction, doors of destruction. If you are not anchored in the Word, you will walk through the wrong door. And what you thought was a blessing will become a burden. That's why your intimacy with God must be deeper than your desire for elevation. You must love his presence more than your platform. You must hunger for his voice more than for validation. You must want his will more than your own way, because only then can you truly discern which doors are divine. This is a season where God is refining his people. He is pruning what is unfruitful. He is revealing what has been hidden. He is testing motives. He is shaking kingdoms. And through all of it, he is whispering, stay close to me. Keep your eyes on me. Trust my timing. Obey my voice. You don't need to knock on every door. You don't need to force what God has not yet opened. You don't need to manipulate, strive, or beg. The door he opens for you will be undeniable. It will come with peace, not pressure. It will bring clarity, not confusion. It will align with his word, not your worries. You will know it time. You will feel it in your spirit. A holy urgency, a fire in your bones, a peace that makes no sense. Everything in you will cry out, this is the way, walk in it. And when that moment comes, you will not hesitate. You will not look back. You will not second guess, because the preparation has produced boldness. The waiting has built confidence, and your trust has become unshaken. That door you've been praying for, it's not just about you, it's about those connected to your obedience. Your yes will unlock destinies. Your breakthrough will break generational curses. Your step of faith will start a chain reaction of salvation, healing, and revival. That door is not just your entrance, it's someone else's escape. Someone is waiting on the other side of your obedience. So walk boldly, child of God. Walk humbly, but walk boldly. You were created for this. You were chosen for this. You were born for such a time as this. And the same God who has kept you in the fire is the same God who is leading you to the door. And hear me now, child of God. When the Lord opens a door, no man can shut it. I don't care what they've said about you. I don't care how many times they've tried to disqualify you. I don't care how long you've been on the sidelines watching others move ahead while you've waited in stillness. The door that God opens has your name on it. It has been sealed with divine purpose. No jealousy can block it. No system can delay it. No demon in hell can revoke it. When God says it is time, the hinges of heaven will swing and you will walk through. But don't you forget this. God is not in a hurry, and he's not trying to impress people with your arrival. He's trying to develop something in you that will last when the applause fades. The open door is not a reward, it is a responsibility. It is not a stage, it is a stewardship. And if you walk through it with pride, it will crush you. But if you walk through it with humility, it will crown you. The Lord is looking for those who will carry his glory, not steal it. Those who will point to him, not themselves. That's why the preparation has taken time. That's why the process has been painful. That's why the pruning has felt so severe. Because God is not trying to give you a moment. He's trying to give you a mantle. And mantles are not for the faint of heart. They require courage. They require consecration. They require character, not charisma. Character. You have to. You have too many people who want influence without integrity. We have too many voices who want to be heard, but haven't sat long enough in the secret place to know what heaven is truly saying. But God is raising a remnant, a holy remnant, who refuse to be bought, who will not compromise, who will not bow to culture, who will walk through doors, not to build their own kingdoms, but to advance the kingdom of God. You see, when God is about to open a door in your life, there will be a shift in your spirit. You'll begin to lose your appetite for things that once entertained you. You'll start waking up with a holy burden. You'll find yourself pulled to prayer. More often, you'll sense the Holy Spirit drawing you out of certain conversations, out of old environments, away from the familiar. That's not isolation. God is pulling you apart because he's about to set you apart. He is sanctifying you for the assignment. You can't take everyone with you through the next door. You can't carry old baggage through new breakthroughs. You can't mix sacred oil with worldly agendas. You've got to be willing to walk alone if that's what obedience demands. Oh, it's going to cost you something. It might cost you friends. It might cost you comfort. It might cost you the approval of people who used to walk closely with you. But don't you dare trade the calling for comfort. Don't you dare forfeit your purpose for popularity. The door God is opening will demand all of you. And when you give him all, he gives you access to all he has. Some of you have been standing in front of locked doors, pounding, begging, crying, asking God to open what he has not ordained. And God, in his mercy, has said no. Not because he's cruel, but because he loves you too much to give you what will destroy you. There are some doors God closes for your protection. There are some places you were never meant to go. Some positions you were never meant to hold. Some people you were never meant to walk with. Rejection is often redirection. Stop crying over closed doors and start praising God for divine detours. Because the right door doesn't need to be forced open. When it's God, it flows, it aligns, it confirms his word. It carries peace, not ease. Peace. You might still face giants on the other side, but you'll walk in with authority. You might still face battles, but the grace will be sufficient because the door was opened by God. And what God opens, he sustains. Let me tell you something else. When God is about to open a new door in your life, he will stir up dissatisfaction in your current place. You'll start feeling uncomfortable. The things that used to satisfy you no longer do. The conversations that used to engage you now feel empty. That's not burnout. It's birthing. God is agitating the nest so that you'll stretch your wings and fly. He's making it uncomfortable so that you don't settle. He loves you too much to let you stay where you are. The push is painful, but it's also prophetic. It's saying, get ready, pack your bags, shift your posture. Something new is coming. There are times when God will allow everything to dry up. Resources, relationships, routines, so that you'll move when he says move. He did it to Elijah. He allowed the brook to dry up so that Elijah would follow the next instruction. Some of you are mourning a dried up brook when you should be listening for your next direction. God doesn't dry up one place unless he's preparing a new provision somewhere else. And hear this, you've got to be willing to leave the familiar behind. Abraham had to leave his homeland. Ruth had to leave Moab. Peter had to leave the boat. If you want to walk through the doors of destiny, you must be willing to let go of what is comfortable. The open door often leads to the unknown. But it's in the unknown where faith grows. It's in the unknown where miracles are birthed. It's in the unknown where God shows you who he truly is. So I ask you now, are you ready? Not just emotionally, not just intellectually, but spiritually. Is your heart surrendered? Is your will aligned? Is your faith alive? Because the door is opening. I feel it in my spirit even as I speak. The atmosphere shifting. God is unlocking doors for those who have been faithful, for those who have been hidden, for those who have walked through the valley and still lifted their hands in worship. He is opening doors for the brokenhearted, for the widow who kept praying, For the father who kept sowing, for the servant who never sought the spotlight, for the warrior who's been battle-scarred but never stopped believing. You may walk in with a limp, but you'll still walk in. You may carry scars, but they are proof you survived. And when you cross that threshold, heaven will rejoice because you didn't give up. You didn't bow. You didn't sell your birthright for a bowl of comfort. God is getting ready to do something so big in your life that you will look back and weep, not because of the pain, but because of how faithful He has been. You'll say, if I had quit back then, I would have missed this moment. If I had stopped praying, I would have missed this promise. If I had given up hope, I would have never seen this glory. So press in, dig deep, stay rooted in His word. Worship while you wait. Fast and pray. Guard your heart. Purify your motives. And above all, listen. The Spirit is speaking. The winds are changing. The trumpet is sounding in the spirit realm. The King is calling His warriors to attention. The door is about to open. Don't be found unready. I feel it in my spirit today. There's an awakening happening right now, a divine stirring, a holy activation. God is not just opening doors, He's opening your eyes. You've been looking at your circumstances through natural eyes. But I tell you, the moment has come for you to see with spiritual vision. There are opportunities in front of you, but you've been too distracted to recognize them. The door is not always obvious. It is often hidden in the shape of a trial, wrapped in the garment of discomfort, veiled behind the curtain of uncertainty. You've asked God for clarity, and now He's sending it. But clarity requires courage. The clarity He's about to give you will require a step you've never taken before. It will require you to trust when you don't have all the answers. It will require you to believe that God's plans for you are bigger than the limitations you've placed on yourself. He's calling you to step into the unknown because He knows that in the unknown, your faith will grow. In the unknown, your dependency on Him will deepen. And in the unknown, you will experience His power in ways that will change the trajectory of your life. Now, let me speak to those who feel like they've been in a holding pattern. You've been waiting for the door to open, but it hasn't happened yet. You've been faithful, you've been patient, but you started to wonder if God has forgotten you. I want you to hear this. God has never forgotten you. His promises do not fail. His timing is perfect. And in His perfect timing, He will open the door. What you cannot see right now is that behind the scenes, God is aligning circumstances. He's moving mountains. He's rearranging things on your behalf. While you're waiting, He's working. While you're praying, He's preparing. There is no wasted time in God's economy. Every moment of waiting is an opportunity for God to build in you what is necessary for the new season He's bringing you into. But the waiting, it will test your faith. The waiting will test your character. The waiting will test your obedience. You will be tempted to settle for less. You will be tempted to walk through a door that seems easier, more comfortable, more immediate. But that door is a trap. It's the counterfeit. It's the distraction. The door that God is opening for you is not always the one that leads easiest. But it is always the one that leads to purpose, to destiny, to fulfillment. That's why you've got to be discerning. You've got to be spiritually sharp. The enemy will offer you short. He will offer you opportunities that look good on the surface, but will ultimately rob you of the fullness of God's best. You've got to know what is from God, and you've got to know how to wait for it. The waiting, beloved, is not for nothing. It is not punishment. It is preparation. Do you realize that God is equipping you in this moment for something greater? You are being refined like gold in the fire. You are being tested to see if you will trust him when the answer hasn't yet come. Will you stand in faith when everything around you screams, give up? Will you still praise when the breakthrough has not yet manifested? Will you continue to walk in obedience when the path seems unclear? If you will, the door will open, and it will open wide. When God opens a door, it is not a door to mediocrity. It's a door to a future you can't even imagine yet. Let's talk about this. There are doors that God will not open until you let go of the things that have been holding you back. There are relationships he will not bless until you're willing to walk away from toxic influences. There are opportunities he will not release until you release your grip on your past. Some of you are standing at the threshold of a great promise, but you're carrying the baggage of yesterday, the hurt of the past, the bitterness, the unforgiveness, the anger. And God is saying, let it go. Walk through this door, but walk light. You cannot walk through the door of your future while carrying the chains of your past. Forgiveness is the key to freedom. Forgiveness is the key to the door. The door that God is opening is not for the bitter and the broken-hearted in a way that you can stay in that place. No, it's for those who will rise up, forgive, let go, and step forward into his promises with an open heart, a healed heart, and a trusting heart. If you're holding on to offense, it will be hard for you to walk through that door. The door you've been praying for is blocked by unforgiveness, and the key is in your hand. Forgive. Let go, release the past, and watch how God moves. The reason why the Lord is doing this in this season is because he is preparing you for greatness. He is preparing you for something that will not only impact your life, but it will touch generations to come. The door is not just about you. It's about what God wants to do through you. There are people tied to your obedience. There are families waiting on your breakthrough. There are souls that will be reached when you step into the door God is opening for you. Don't think for 1 second that your faithfulness is for nothing. Don't think for 1 second that God isn't aware of your sacrifices. He sees it all. He knows the nights you've stayed up praying. He knows the tears you've cried when no one was watching. He sees your heart, and he is ready to reward your faithfulness. But this is also the moment where you must understand this one principle. God is not just interested in your success. He is interested in your significance. He doesn't want you to just succeed. He wants you to make an eternal impact. He wants your life to matter. He wants the door he opens for you to be a stepping stone to something far greater than you could have ever planned for yourself. This door isn't about you having more. It's about you giving more. It's about serving more. It's about using your influence to point others to the Savior. The door you're walking through is the door to a new level of influence. It's a door to a new level of purpose. It's a door to a new level of grace. And I don't care what the enemy has told you. I don't care how many people have tried to disqualify you. If God has said it's time, it's time. And there is no devil in hell who can stop what God is about to do in your life. You were born for such a time as this. You were destined for this moment. You were chosen for this door. And when you walk through it, you will not walk alone. The power of God will go before you. The hand of God will sustain you. The peace of God will guard you, and the joy of the Lord will be your strength. It's time. It's time for you to step into your destiny. It's time for you to walk through that door. Are you ready? I feel a stirring in my soul today as I speak to you. And I believe it's no coincidence that you are here hearing these words. God is speaking to you, calling you higher, calling you to a new place. The door you've been waiting for is not just an opportunity, it's a divine assignment. It's an invitation from heaven to step into the fullness of what God has prepared for you. I want you to understand this. The door that God is about to open is not just for you to step into a new season. It's for you to walk into your divine destiny. Too many of us, beloved, are trapped in cycles of mediocrity. We live our lives just waiting for the next thing to come, as if we're at the mercy of fate. But I want to remind you today, you are not at the mercy of fate. You are at the mercy of a loving, sovereign God who is in control of your destiny. He is the one who knows the plans he has for you. He is the one who has been shaping and molding you for this very moment. Your life is not a series of random events. Your life has been divinely orchestrated by the Creator of the universe, and He's about to open doors that no man can shut. But you must understand this door, this opportunity is not just about worldly success. No, this door is about the kingdom. It is about fulfilling your purpose in God's grand plan. When God opens a door, it is not just to make your life easier or more comfortable. He is opening that door to bring glory to His name through your life. He's opening it so you can step into a place of influence, a place where you can touch the lives of others, a place where your testimony will impact the world for His glory. Do not be deceived, though. As God opens doors, the enemy will try to convince you that it's too much for you. He will try to plant seeds of doubt, whispering that you are unworthy, unqualified, or incapable of walking through the door that God has set before you. He will tell you that you've missed your chance, that it's too late, that the door is not for someone like you. Don't listen to those lies. Don't let the enemy speak defeat over your life. God does not call the qualified, He qualifies the called. If God has the called, if God has opened the door for you, He has already equipped you to walk through it. But there is something crucial here, beloved. You must trust Him completely. Trust is the foundation on which the door will open. It is trust that activates God's power in your life. You see, it's not enough to simply believe in God. You have to trust His process. You have to trust that the door He is opening is the right one. Even if it doesn't look like what you imagined, the pathway to that door may not always be easy. It may require sacrifice. It may require letting go of things that you thought you needed. It may require stepping out of your comfort zone and into a place of uncertainty. But you must trust that He who has called you is faithful to complete the work He has begun in you. And don't think for a moment that the opening of this door is just about you. God is using you as a vessel to bring his love, his grace, and his truth to a hurting world. When you walk through this door, others will be blessed because of your obedience. There are people waiting on the other side of that door who need you to step into your calling. There are families, communities, and nations that will be impacted by the work God is about to do through you. Your breakthrough is not just for you. It is for the advancement of the kingdom of God. When you step through that door, you are stepping into a divine partnership with God. You are becoming a vessel for his purposes. And let me tell you, when God is working through you, there is no limit to what he can do. I know some of you are weary right now. You've been fighting battles, struggling with circumstances, and you're wondering if the door will ever open. But I want to remind you of a powerful truth. The waiting period is not wasted. The seasons of hardship, the moments of doubt and discouragement, the struggles you faced, these are all part of the preparation process. God is not just preparing the door, he is preparing you for the door. He is preparing your heart, your character, and your spirit for the blessings he is about to pour out. Sometimes the reason why the door hasn't opened yet is because God is refining you in ways you don't even realize. He's strengthening you, growing your faith, teaching you to rely on him more deeply. He's stripping away the things that would hinder you from walking in the fullness of his calling. The process may be painful, but I assure you it is purposeful. The door that God will open will be the one you are fully equipped to walk through, because you have been made ready in the waiting. And hear me now, when that door opens, there will be no stopping you. You will step through it with confidence, knowing that it is not your strength, but God's power that carries you. You will walk in the authority of Christ, knowing that every step you take is ordered by him. The path may not always be clear, but the peace of God will be your guide. You will take brave courage, be that what it may. The enemy will try to distract you, discourage you, and make you doubt your calling. But when you are in the will of God, there is nothing that can stand against you. The door that God is opening for you is a door to freedom. It is a door to new possibilities, new opportunities, new levels of blessing and impact. But it is also a door to a new level of responsibility. When God blesses you, he expects you to be a blessing. When he opens doors for you, he expects you to walk through them in such a way that others will see his goodness, his mercy, and his love. Your life is meant to be a living testimony of his greatness. Don't let fear, doubt, or complacency hold you back. God has called you to walk boldly through the door he is opening. Step out in faith today. Step out with a confidence that the God who has begun a good work in you will see it through to completion. Step out knowing that he is with you, that he is for you, and that he will never leave you nor forsake you. The door is ready to swing open. All you have to do is walk through it. The question is, will you trust God enough to walk by faith even when you can't see the entire path ahead? As I stand before you today, I want you to understand something so profound, something that will resonate with you for the rest of your life. God is not a distant figure. He is right here with you in this very moment, speaking to your heart, calling you higher, calling you to a greater purpose than you could ever imagine. And he has not forgotten you. Oh, my friend, he has seen every tear, every battle, every moment of doubt. He has seen your faith, and he has watched you stand through the fire. And he is now saying to you, It is time to rise up, to step forward in faith, to embrace the destiny that God has prepared for you, that door you've been praying for, that opportunity you've been longing for. It is right in front of you, waiting for you to take that first step through. I know the road has been hard. I know you've faced moments of discouragement, of exhaustion, but I want you to know that God's strength is made perfect in your weakness. His grace is sufficient, and His power is more than enough to carry you through. You may be standing at the threshold of something greater than you can even comprehend right now. And yes, the path may not always be easy, but let me assure you, God has already gone before you. He has already paved the way. He has already made the crooked path straight. The question is, will you trust Him enough to walk through that door, to step into the unknown with Him by your side? You are not alone in this journey. You are not walking this path by yourself. The Almighty God is with you. The Creator of the universe has set His hand upon you. His promises are sure, and His word never fails. So I challenge you today, right here, right now. Do not let fear keep you from stepping into the life God has called you to. Do not let the weight of your past mistakes, your insecurities, or your doubts stop you from walking boldly through that door. Step forward in faith, not because you are strong, but because you know that the strength of the Lord is your strength. Step forward with confidence, not because you have all the answers, but because you trust that God will guide your every step. Step forward with courage, not because the road will always be easy, but because the God who goes before you is greater than any challenge you will face. Now is the time, beloved. Now is the moment to lay aside every hindrance, every fear, every weight that has been holding you back. You are not defined by your circumstances, by what others have said about you, or by the lies of the enemy. You are defined by the calling of God on your life. You are His masterpiece, His chosen vessel, His beloved child, and He has a great work for you to do. So today I challenge you to step into your destiny. Step into the greatness God has prepared for you. Do not let another day go by where you shrink back from the promise that is yours. You are anointed. You are called. You are chosen. God is opening the door for you. But you must walk through it. Step forward in faith. Step forward in trust. Step forward in boldness, and watch how God will move mightily in your life. The door is open. Will you walk through it? My dear friends, listen closely. Not with your ears only, but with your spirit, with your soul, with the deepest part of who you are. For I have come to tell you something the world cannot teach you. I have come to proclaim a truth so mighty, so divine, so full of heaven's power, that it will shake the chains off your heart if you let it. Hear me today. When God is about to help you, you will not be left in the dark. You will see signs not from man, not from circumstance, but from the living hand of the Almighty. You see, we serve a God who does not slumber, a God who does not blink or turn away. His eyes are always on His people. His ears are open to their cry. The Bible says that his arm is not too short that it cannot save, nor his ear too dull that it cannot hear. And yet there are times, oh yes, there are times when we feel forgotten, abandoned, cast aside. We pray and hear silence. We seek and see no open door. We cry out and feel as if the heavens have turned to brass. But I tell you today in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, that just before God moves in your life, just before his breakthrough crashes in like a mighty rushing wind, you will see certain things. You will feel the tremble you will sense the stillness before the storm of mercy. For God never comes without first preparing the way. He is a God of order, of signs, of purpose, and he does not operate in chaos. When God is about to help you, when heaven is about to invade your earth, something begins to shift in the atmosphere. Listen, the pressure you feel right now, the tension in your spirit, the battle in your mind, the tears you've been crying at midnight, those are not signs that God has forgotten you. No, they are signs that he is closer than you think. They are the contractions before your deliverance. They are the labor pains before the birth of the promise. When a woman is about to give birth, the pain increases. The contractions intensify. The pressure becomes unbearable. And it is then, just then, that the new life comes forth. Likewise, when God is about to help you, the enemy fights harder. Oh, yes, he does. The devil will stir up trouble in your home. He will try to poison your thoughts. He will send confusion, distraction, even betrayal. Why? Because he senses what's coming. He sees the heavenly army marching in your direction. He hears the trumpet of God calling your name. And he is terrified. He is desperate to make you quit right before your deliverance. But I say to you, hold on. Don't let go now. You are too close to turn back. God's help often comes wrapped in discomfort. Did you hear me? I said God's help often comes in ways you didn't expect. You prayed for strength and he gave you trials to make you strong. You asked for faith and he led you through a storm. You cried for peace and he taught you to trust in the middle of the fire. He does not always calm the storm, my friend. Sometimes he calms you in the storm. Sometimes he lets the wind howl and the lightning flash just to show you that his hand is stronger than the storm itself. Do you remember Joseph? Before God helped Joseph, he was betrayed by his brothers, thrown into a pit, sold into slavery, lied on, imprisoned, forgotten. But each of those trials was a sign that heaven was orchestrating something great, a sign that what the enemy meant for evil, God was turning for good. You see, Joseph's hardship was not proof of abandonment. It was the evidence of divine promotion in process. When God is about to help you, he often allows everything around you to fall apart, not to destroy you, but to remove the false supports you've been leaning on. He will strip away your idols. He will tear down your pride. He will expose what you trusted more than him. Why? So that when he lifts you up, no one can say it was man's doing. So that when he comes through, there is no doubt in your mind that it was the Lord who made the way. Yes, friend, when God is about to help you, things may look worse before they look better. But that's the sign. That's the clue. That's the divine fingerprint. God does not rescue you from a situation. He rescues you in it. He walks into your fire like he did with Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. He joins you in the lion's den, like he did with Daniel. He steps into the storm like he did with the disciples and says, "Peace, be still." And do you know what else happens when God is about to help you? People begin to leave. Oh, I know that hurts. I know how lonely it feels. But hear me, there are some people who cannot go where God is taking you. There are some relationships that must be severed so that your destiny can be born. God will prune your life so that you can bear more fruit. He will shake your tree so the dead branches fall off. He will remove the props so that your only support is Him. And let me tell you something else. When God is about to help you, you will feel a holy restlessness. You won't be able to settle. The things that used to satisfy you won't satisfy you anymore. The places you used to go won't fit you anymore. The people you used to run with won't understand you anymore. Because God is stirring your spirit. He is unsettling your comfort zone. He is calling you out of the boat so you can walk on water. You will begin to dream differently. You will begin to pray differently. You will feel a fire shut up in your bone. You will feel like something is coming, but you don't know what. That's the Spirit of God preparing you. That's the voice of the Lord saying, get ready. I'm about to move. And I declare to you today, if you don't give up, if you don't faint, if you hold on just a little longer, you will see it with your own eyes. God is not a man that he should lie. If he said he will help you, then help is coming. If he said he will deliver you, then deliverance is on the way. You don't need to figure it out. You just need to believe. You don't need to control the outcome. You just need to trust the one who holds the outcome in his hand. Because when God decides to help you, nothing and no one can stop him. He does not ask for permission. He does not check with your past. He does not consult your resume. He does not need man's approval. When God moves, he moves with power. When God helps, he helps with glory. And when God lifts you, he lifts you so high that people who once looked down on you will not even be able to recognize you. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are not defeated. You are not stuck. You are in transition. You are in preparation. You are in the holy hallway between the cry and the answer, between the seed and the harvest, between the pain and the promise. Don't despise this season. Don't curse the process. Because when God is about to help you, he allows a breaking before the blessing. He allows a shaking and you will know it's him. You will know not by the absence of trouble, but by the increase of grace. You will know, because in the middle of your darkest night, there will be a light. In the middle of your despair, there will be a peace that doesn't make sense. In the middle of your lack, there will be provision you can't explain. That's how God helps supernaturally, undeniably. When God is about to help you, your faith will come under fire like never before. I'm not talking about the kind of faith that's comfortable when the bills are paid, the job is secure, and your health is intact. I'm talking about the kind of faith that holds on when everything is falling apart. The kind of faith that stands still when all of hell is coming against you. The kind of faith that looks the devil in the eye and says, though he slay me, yet will I trust him. You see, real faith doesn't flourish in the sunlight. Real faith is forged in the fire. It is in the furnace of affliction that your faith is purified. And when God is about to help you, he allows that fire to burn a little hotter, not to destroy you, but to prepare you for the weight of the glory that's coming. Because you cannot carry divine breakthrough with weak faith. You cannot handle heaven's blessings with an untested spirit. God is not just interested in giving you help, he is interested in giving you strength. There is a holy war over your destiny, my friend. There is a battle in the unseen every time you kneel to pray. The enemy is not fighting you because of where you are. He is fighting you because of where you're going. He is attacking you not because you are weak, but because heaven has placed power inside you. There's a calling on your life that threatens the kingdom of darkness. There's a purpose in you that shakes hell itself. That's why the pressure has intensified. That's why you've been walking through a season that feels like silence. It's not the absence of God. It's the nearness of your help. You're in the tension of transition. And transitions are messy. Transitions are painful. But transitions are necessary. Before God brings you into the promised land, he has to bring Egypt out of you. Before he places the crown on your head, he has to teach you to carry the cross. Because the help God is sending is not temporary relief. It is eternal transformation. He's not just getting you out of the pit. He's preparing you to sit on the throne. He's not just calming your storm. He's teaching you how to command the winds in the future. Oh, don't you dare let your eyes fool you. Don't judge your future by what you see right now. For we walk by faith and not by sight. God is doing more behind the scenes than you could ever imagine. He is arranging divine connections. He is orchestrating supernatural timing. He is speaking your name in rooms you've never entered to people you've never met. Your help is being crafted in the courts of heaven, forged in divine fire and scheduled to arrive at the exact moment you need it. Not early, not late, right on time. And let me tell you something that will shake you awake. When God is about to help you, he often isolates you. You will feel misunderstood. You will feel invisible. You will feel like your prayers are hitting the ceiling. But that isolation is divine. It is in the wilderness where God reveals himself. It is in the cave that the whisper of God becomes clear. It is in the solitary place that the oil begins to flow. God speaks loudest in the quiet. And sometimes he must remove the noise of the crowd so you can hear the whisper of his will. Do not despise the hidden seasons. Do not curse the cave. Do not run from the silence. That's where God does his deepest work. That's where he shifts your identity. That's where he breaks chains that no man can see. When God is about to help you, he doesn't build you on stages. He builds you in secret. He doesn't anoint you in palaces. He anoints you in the pasture like David. And when the time is right, he brings you forward, not by man's invitation, but by divine appointment. Yes. There are signs that God is about to help you, but they are not always the signs you expect. They are not the applause of men or the open doors you dreamed of. Sometimes a sign is the closing of every door you thought would open. Sometimes it's the betrayal of a friend you trusted. Sometimes it's the breaking of your own strength so that you can finally lean on his. Because God does not share his glory when he helps you. He does it in a way that makes it unmistakably clear This was the hand of the Lord and not the work of man. And when that help comes, when it breaks through your midnight, when it floods into your dry land, when it lifts you out of the ashes, it won't just be enough to sustain you. It will overflow. God doesn't do half measures. When he sends help, it will be pressed down, shaken together, and running over. You won't just come out. You'll come out with power. You won't just be healed. You'll become a healer. You won't just be restored. You'll carry restoration for others. But hear me, beloved, before the help comes, there must be a surrender. Not partial, not convenient, total. God does not pour his power into vessels that are already full of pride, fear, or self-reliance. He is looking for empty jars. He is looking for hearts that say, not my will, but yours be done. He is drawn to the broken, the humble, the desperate, because those are the ones who know that if God doesn't show up, it's over. And that's the kind of faith he honors. That's the kind of posture he responds to. If you've been walking through darkness, don't quit now. If you've been fighting in the valley, don't lay down your sword. If the fire has been hotter, if the tears have been more frequent, if the silence has been deafening, rejoice. Yes, I said rejoice. Because the enemy doesn't fight where there is no threat. He doesn't attack what doesn't matter. The intensity of your battle is a prophecy of your breakthrough. The size of your storm is a measure of the size of your help. Do you feel that stirring in your spirit right now? That's not emotion. That's not hype. That's the Spirit of the living God confirming to you that help is on the way, that something is shifting, that something is breaking, that something is rising in you that cannot be explained. Heaven is leaning in. Angels are being dispatched. The earth is groaning with anticipation. Because a child of God is about to step into their divine season. You are not forgotten in the shadows. You are not buried. You are planted. And the help that's coming will not just lift you out. It will establish you. It will validate the promises God made to you when no one else was listening. It will silence the voices that mocked your faith. It will bring glory to the name of the Lord through your life. You're not just being helped. You're being positioned for purpose. God's help is not survival. It's victory. He's not coming to bandage your wounds. He's coming to heal you from the inside out. He's not just paying your bills. He's teaching you to walk in abundance. He's not just saving your marriage. He's building it into a testimony of resurrection power. What you're walking through now is not the end of your story. It's the setting for God's glory to explode into your life like fire from heaven. Oh, I wish I could show you what's on the other side of this storm. I wish you could see what God is preparing in secret. But you must walk by faith. You must trust that even in the silence, God is still speaking. Even in the delay, God is still working. Even in the pain, God is still perfecting his will in you. Help is coming, child of God. It's closer than you think. And when it arrives, you will look back on every sleepless night, every tear-stained pillow, every lonely prayer, and you'll say, it was worth it. It was all worth it. When God is about to help you, he will test your loyalty. Not because he doesn't know your heart, but because he wants you to know it. He wants you to see what you're made of. He wants you to discover what remains when everything else is stripped away. In the moments before divine assistance arise, there comes a moment of decision. Will you trust him when nothing makes sense? Will you believe him when the report is bad? Will you follow him when the path disappears beneath your feet? We love to talk about blessings, but we forget that before every blessing, there is a choice to be made. Abraham had to choose to leave everything behind and walk into a land he had never seen. Moses had to choose to return to the place of his greatest failure and face Pharaoh. Esther had to choose to risk her life for a people who didn't even know she was their hope. And Jesus chose the cross not because it was easy, not because it felt good, but because he trusted the will of the Father more than the comfort of the moment. And when you are standing on the edge of your breakthrough, God will ask you to choose to stand. Choose to obey. The help of God doesn't always look like help in the beginning. Sometimes it looks like loss. Sometimes it looks like rejection. Sometimes it looks like doors slamming in your face. But every closed door is a redirection. Every rejection is a setup for something greater. Every heartbreak is hollowing out a deeper place in you where his power can reside. What you think is God withholding from you may be God protecting you. He sees the end from the beginning. He knows what you don't. And sometimes the greatest help he can give you is to say no to what you thought you needed. There is a peculiar pain that comes just before heaven opens. It's the ache of knowing something is coming but not knowing. It's the frustration of doing everything right and still seeing nothing change. But let me tell you this, the wait is part of the miracle. The wait strengthens your spirit. The wait silences the noise. The wait sharpens your focus. God is not punishing you with delay. He is preparing you for destiny. Because when he moves, it will be so sudden, so swift, so supernatural that you will need every ounce of strength you gained in the waiting room just to carry the blessing. You see, God doesn't just want to get you out of your crisis. He wants to make you dangerous to the kingdom of darkness. That's why he doesn't rush the process. That's why he doesn't always answer on your timetable, because he's not raising spoiled children. He's raising warriors. He's raising prophets. He's raising deliverers. He's raising men and women who will walk into enemy territory with authority and declare, "Thus saith the Lord." He's raising people who know how to stand when others fall. People who have scars but still sing. People who have been through the fire and didn't bow, didn't break, didn't burn. When God is about to help you, you will begin to see through spiritual eyes. The veil will begin to lift. The things that used to confuse you will start to make sense. You'll look back at the pain and see purpose. You'll look back at the loss and see how it cleared space for what was better. You'll understand why that person had to leave, why that job didn't work out, why that door never opened. God is not random. He is not careless. He is sovereign. And even when it looks like nothing is happening, something is happening. God is a master craftsman. He is building something eternal inside of you. Something that cannot be shaken by opinion, cannot be stolen by the enemy, cannot be dimmed by the darkness of this world. And when the help of God arrives, it confirms what your spirit already knew, that you were never alone. That the silence wasn't abandonment, it was strategy. That the delay wasn't denial, It was divine alignment. That the fire wasn't punishment. It was preparation. If you want to know when help is near, look for the enemy's desperation. When the devil throws everything at you, when the battles come back to back, when discouragement follows you like a shadow, when your mind is filled with lies, fear, confusion, that's not a sign to give up. That's a sign to begin. That's when you lift your hands and say, I still believe. That's when you fall on your knees and say, God, even now I trust you. Because faith in the fire is the kind of faith that moves the heart of God. I'm telling you, some of you are closer than you think. You're right on the verge. The night is almost over. The sky is beginning to shift. The enemy knows it. That's why he's trying to break you now. That's why your thoughts have been under attack. That's why you've been more weary than usual, more anxious than normal. He's trying to get you to surrender before the breakthrough arrives. Don't you give him that satisfaction. Don't you let the one who never created you determine your future. The same God who brought you this far is the God who will carry you the rest of the way. When God is about to help you, you will feel a holy boldness rise up inside of you. A divine courage that defies the fact. A confidence that doesn't come from your own strength, but from knowing that he who promised is faithful. That boldness is not arrogance. It is spiritual clarity. It is the voice of the Spirit within you saying, stand firm. You were made for this. The battle is not yours. It belongs to the Lord. There will be moments when you feel unqualified. Moments when you look at your flaws, your failures, your past, and wonder why God would ever choose you. But let me remind you, he never called the qualified. He qualifies the called. He chose David when he was still a shepherd. He called Moses, though he stuttered. He used Paul even with blood on his hands. And if he's calling you, it's not because of what you've done. It's because of who he is. So lift up your head, square your shoulders, set your eyes on the hills from where your help comes. It's coming, and it's coming with fire, with justice, with healing, with restoration, with recompense. What you lost will not compare to what is being returned. What the locusts ate, God will restore. What the enemy stole, God will repay. What you thought was over, God is about to resurrect. This is not the time to quit. This is not the time to entertain doubt or dance with fear. This is the time to hold fast to the promise. This is the time to remind your soul of who your God is. He is not just the God of the mountaintop. He is the God of the blessing. He is the God who walks with you through the battle. And when he shows up in glory, in power, in fullness. Can you feel it? Can you sense the shift in the atmosphere? That's not emotion. It's the Spirit of God awakening your hope. That's not wishful thinking. It's divine anticipation. That's your spirit responding to the nearness of heaven's help. The same God who parted the Red Sea. The same God who rained manna from the sky. The same God who raised Lazarus from the dead. He is with you right now. And he has not, when God is about to help you, he often allows your strength to fail so that his power can be revealed. You see, we don't always recognize divine help when we're still leaning on human solutions. We don't cry out with urgency when we think we still have options. But when the walls close in, when the resources run dry, when the people you depended on disappear, that's when heaven leans in. That's when the Almighty says, now I can show you what I can do. He doesn't wait until you've got it all figured out. He waits until you've come to the end of yourself, because it's only at the end of yourself that you can fully encounter the beginning of God. It's when you drop your hands in surrender that he lifts his mighty hand in intervention. It's when you finally say, I can't do this without you, that heaven responds with, watch what I will do for you. God is not moved by your perfection. He's moved by your surrender. He's not impressed with your resume of achievements. He is drawn to the broken heart, the contrite spirit, the person who says, Lord, if you don't move, I'm not going to make it. And in that moment, in that holy moment, his help comes like a rushing wind. Doesn't tiptoe in. It breaks chains. It moves mountains. It silences the accuser and lifts you from the ashes with resurrection power. When God is about to help you, he will stir your spirit with unrest. You'll begin to feel the discomfort of a divine discontent. Things that used to satisfy you will suddenly feel hollow. Places you used to run to for comfort will lose their appeal. Relationships that were once safe will feel strained, and you'll wonder, what is happening to me? What's happening is that God is calling you higher. He's drawing you into a new dimension. He's separating you, not to punish you, but to sanctify you. Because where he's taking you, not everyone can go. The help he is preparing for you requires a new level of consecration, a new depth of obedience, a greater clarity of purpose. He is stripping away what you thought you needed so you can discover that he is all you've ever truly needed. His help is not a side project, it is the main event. It doesn't come to enhance your life. It comes to transform it. Listen to me. When heaven's help is near, your discernment must become sharp. Not everything that looks like help is from God. Not every opportunity is divine. The enemy can disguise himself as an angel of light. He can send counterfeits that mimic the real. He can open doors that lead to destruction. But the Spirit of God will give you wisdom. He will give you an inner knowing that says, this is not the... Don't ignore that still small voice. Don't override it with logic or pressure. God's help comes with peace, not confusion. It comes with alignment, not compromise. And sometimes when God is about to help you, he'll ask you to do something radical. He'll ask you to step out when everything in you wants to stay safe. He'll ask you to give when you feel like you need to receive. He'll ask you to speak when fear tells you to be quiet. That's not God testing your nerves. That's God unlocking the flow of supernatural help through your obedience. Don't you remember what happened to Peter? He didn't walk on water until he stepped out of the boat. He didn't receive help until he took the risk. And that's how God moves. He meets you in the step of faith. He meets you in the unknown. He meets you when you dare to believe that the voice calling you is stronger than the wind and the waves. I'm speaking to some of you who are standing on the edge of obedience. You know what God told you. You feel it burning in your spirit, but fear has gripped your feet. Doubt has silenced your praise. You've been waiting for confirmation, but God has already spoken, and now He's waiting for your move, because the help won't come in the boat. It comes when you walk toward Him on the impossible. It comes when you act on the word, not just admire it. When you and hear me, you will never need help if you're always playing it safe. If your life requires no faith, you will not see the fullness of God's power. But the moment you risk everything on His word, the moment you step out not knowing where your foot will land, that's when heaven backs you up. That's when the supernatural becomes your new normal. That's when miracles start chasing you down. There's a holy confidence rising in this hour. Not the confidence of the flesh, but the confidence of the Spirit. It is the knowing that says, my God is with me. It is the unshakable assurance that even if the whole world falls apart, the throne of God still stands. It is the confidence that fueled Daniel in the lion's den, that filled the hearts of the Hebrew boys in the fire, that gave Paul and Silas a song in the midnight prison, and it will fill you too. Because the same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead is living inside of you. That means you are not powerless. You are not alone. You are not at the mercy of circumstances. You are a child of the Most High God, and your help does not come from this world. Your help is not found in politics, in money, in people, or in position. Your help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth. And when He moves, nothing can stop Him. Not a doctor's report, not a legal situation, not generational curses, not the mistakes of your past, not even death itself. The devil has tried to convince you that it's too late, that you've missed your moment, that you're too far gone, that the damage is too great. But I came to prophesy to you. God's help overrides every lie. His mercy rewrites every failure. His power restores what you thought was beyond repair, and His timing is never off. Some of you have been walking with tears no one sees, crying out in rooms where no one hears, lifting prayers in the dark when your heart was breaking, and you've wondered, God, did you forget me? But He has not forgotten you. He has not turned His face away. He has captured every tear, counted every cry, and recorded every groan. And the help that's coming will make it all make sense. The healing that's coming will touch more than your body. It will mend your soul. The provision that's coming will break cycles for generations. You must understand, when God helps, He doesn't just address the surface. He gets to the root. He doesn't just put a patch on your pain. He rewrites your story. He goes back to the trauma, the wound, the lie, the rejection, and He speaks truth where there was once torment. He brings peace where there was once chaos, and He calls you by a new name. Redeemed, restored, chosen, free. That's the kind of help that's coming. Not a bandage breakthrough, not survival revival, not a lifeboat, an ark, not a quick fix, a complete transformation. And when it comes, you won't be able to take credit for it. You won't be able to say, look what I did. No, you fall on your knees, tears streaming down your face, hands lifted high, and say, this was the Lord's doing, and it is marvelous in my eye. When God is about to help you, He doesn't just change your situation. He changes you in the process. Because real help from heaven doesn't leave you the same. It doesn't just deliver you from the fire. It delivers the fire into you. It sets your heart ablaze with a holy passion. It awakens a hunger for righteousness. It stirs up a spirit of intercession. You begin to pray with authority, walk with boldness, speak with conviction. Not because you read it in a book, but because you've met the one who changes. You see, God's help doesn't merely relieve your pain. It refines your purpose. It doesn't just open doors. It gives you the strength to walk through them. And the moment that help begins to rise over your life, you will find yourself standing taller, speaking clearer, worshiping deeper. You won't have to announce that God is moving in your life. People will see it. They'll see the light in your eyes. They'll hear the fire in your voice. They'll sense the authority on your words. Because when heaven invades a person, there's a shift in the atmosphere around them. When help is near, your identity becomes clearer. The confusion starts to break. The fog lifts the lies of the enemy that once wrapped around your mind like chains begin to snap. You realize you are not the product of your pain. You are not the sum of your mistakes. You are not the label the world gave you. You are who God says you are. His beloved, His vassal, His child, His ambassador. And once you know who you are, no demon in hell can intimidate you. That's why God allows the pressure. That's why He permits the trial. Because pressure produces clarity. Pressure forces out the faults. Pressure squeezes out the opinions of men until all that remains is the truth of God's word. And when you come through the pressing, you don't walk the same. You walk with a limp like Jacob, but you also walk with a blessing. You walk with a memory that you wrestled with God and you survived. You made it through the dark night of the soul and you didn't lose your mind. You stood in the valley of dry bones and spoke life when everything around you was dead. Do you understand what that means? That means you're dangerous now. That means hell trembles when you wake up in the morning. That means the very places the enemy tried to destroy you in are the places God will use you to deliver others. You're not just a survivor. You're a weapon in the hands of God. And when His help comes, it will catapult you into purpose faster than you ever imagined. When the Spirit of God moves, He does not move timidly. He does not operate under limitation. He is not bound by your calendar, your resources, or your resume. When God says it's your time, it becomes your time. And everything that tried to delay you, distract you, or detour, you will bow to His will. What took years to build can be dismantled in a day. And what seemed impossible can happen in a moment. That's the speed of grace. That's the force of divine intervention. God's help comes with justice. Not man's version of justice, God's justice. The kind of justice that sets the captives free. The kind of justice that restores years stolen by addiction, betrayal, abuse, or shame. The kind of justice that makes the devil regret ever touching your life. When the Lord stretches out His hand, He doesn't just restore the years. You come back stronger. You come back wiser. You come back with spoils from the battle you thought would kill you. And don't miss this. When God is about to help you, He'll often send you a word before He sends the breakthrough. Because the word is the seed of the miracle. The word is what sustains you when the storm is raging. The word is what reminds you of who God is when fear knocks at your door. That's why the enemy works overtime to steal the word. Because if he can steal your revelation, he can stall your breakthrough. But when you hold on to the word, when you plant it deep in your soul, it becomes a sword in your hand. It becomes a lamp to your feet. It becomes the bridge between your wilderness and your promise. Some of you are sitting on a word that hasn't come to pass yet. You've been waiting, watching, wondering if God forgot, but He hasn't. That word is alive. That word is breathing. That word is moving behind the scene. And when the time is right, it will come to pass. Not by might, not by power, but by His Spirit. Heaven's help never shows up late. It shows up when it will bring Him the most glory. Don't underestimate what's about to unfold. Don't measure what's coming by what you've seen before. God is not recycling old miracles. He's writing a new story in your life, one the world has never read. One the enemy didn't see coming. One that will cause people to say, surely the Lord has done great things for them. This help will not just answer your prayer. It will exceed your expectations. It will leave you speechless. It will humble you, and it will give you a platform not for fame, but for testimony. And hear this, when the help comes, don't forget the fire that forged it. Don't forget the nights you wept, the days you fasted, the hours you cried out. Let the pain produce compassion. Let the wilderness birth wisdom. Let the journey fuel your purpose, because the help you received was never just for you. It was so you could help someone else. So you could turn around like Joseph did and say what the enemy meant for evil, God meant for good, to save many lives. You are being raised up for such a time as this. Not to sit silently in the back, not to blend into the background, but to stand in the fullness of who God made you to be. To speak life into dry places. To tear down altars built to fear and shame. To build again the ruins of generations past. To raise the banner of Jesus high in a world desperate for hope. So don't be surprised if the shaking continues. Don't be alarmed if the winds pick up. That's not destruction. It's transition. It's the final stretch before the miracle. It's the turbulence before the landing. Hold fast. Stand firm. Keep your eyes fixed, because the King of Glory is riding in with help in his wings. And when he arrives, everything changes. And when that help arrives, when God steps in with fire in his eyes and mercy in his hands, you'll realize something forfeiting. The wait was a part of the wonder. The struggle wasn't wasted. The silence wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Every unanswered prayer, every delayed promise, every season of drought was forging a deeper hunger in you. Because God was not just preparing the breakthrough, he was preparing you to carry it. He was making sure that when the help came, it wouldn't crush you. It would crown you. You must understand this about God. He is not interested in fleeting victories. He's not trying to give you a temporary high. He's establishing a testimony that will stand for generations. And for that, he allows the deep work, the slow work, the painful work. He tears down your idols quietly, forcefully. He unearths the hidden motives. He challenges your pride, your assumptions, your self-reliance. Because what good is help if you're not humble enough to handle it? When God is about to help you, he will confront you first, not to condemn you, but to cleanse you. He will illuminate the dark corners of your heart. He will ask hard questions. He will demand total surrender. Why? Because his help comes with glory, and glory cannot rest where rebellion reigns. His help brings holiness. His help purifies as it promotes. He's not raising up celebrities. He is raising up servants who carry his spirit with reverence. He is raising up servants who carry his spirit with reverence. And oh, when he finds a heart that is clean, a vessel that is empty, a soul that is yielded, what he will do with it cannot be measured. He will pour out blessings that eyes have not seen and ears have not heard. He will shake nations through a single obedient life. He will raise the lowly and confound the mighty. Because God does not measure potential the way we do. He does not choose the qualified. He qualifies the chosen. And if you are willing, truly willing, he will use your life as a stage for his glory. Some of you have been hidden, overlooked, passed by, misunderstood. But I came to tell you today, heaven has not overlooked you. God has had his eye on you the whole time. While others saw your weakness, God saw your worship. While others dismissed you, God was developing you. The help that's coming is not random. It's strategic. It's not shallow. It's sacred. He's about to pull you from the shadows and place you where your voice will be heard, not for your fame, but for his name. And yes, the help may look different than what you expected. It might not come wrapped in comfort. It might come through a person you never imagined. It might come through a closed door, not an open one. Sometimes God helps us by saying no. Sometimes he helps us by removing what we thought we needed. Sometimes he helps us by allowing what breaks us. But no matter how it comes, when God helps, he leaves no doubt. You won't have to convince anyone that he stepped in. The evidence will speak, the fruit will testify. The transformation will be undeniable. The glory will be unmistakable. People will say, I don't know what happened to them, but something changed. And you'll smile because you know it was God. It was always God. He was there when the tears fell like rain. He was there when you thought no one noticed. He was there when you almost gave up. And now he's stepping in, not just to rescue, but to restore. Not just to fix, but to fulfill. Not just to lift you up, but to send you out. Because the help you're receiving is not the end of the story. It's the beginning of a calling. And when that calling unfolds, walk in it with fire. Don't shrink back. Don't apologize for the anointing on your life. Don't second guess the authority God has placed in you. You've been through too much to play small now. You've cried too long to stay silent. You've fought too hard to go backward. Step into it with boldness. Step into it with purity. Step into it with trembling and with trust. Because the one who called you is faithful. And the one who helps you will never fail you. You were not made to merely survive. You were made to overcome. You were not created to exist in fear. You were created to move in power. The same God who parted the Red Sea, who fed 5,000, who healed the lepers and raised the dead, is the same God who lives in you. The same Spirit that hovered over the waters at creation is the same Spirit breathing life into your situation right now. So I ask you, will you believe again? Will you hope again? Will you trust him with your future, your family, your finances, your calling, your past, your pain? Will you open your heart wide to the help he is sending? Even if it doesn't look like what you asked for, will you say yes to the stretching, to the refining, to the equipping, so that when the help arrives, you're ready to run with it? Because this is not the end. This is not defeat. This is the hinge on which your destiny turns. God is about to help you in a way that will mark you forever. You will look back on this moment and say, that was the day everything changed. You will carry stories that stir faith in others. You will release a sound that shakes the atmosphere. You will walk in power that confounds the wise. And not because you're strong, but because you're surrendered. So now I say to you, rise up, Yes, rise up from the ashes of doubt. Rise up from the weight of fear. Rise up from the voices that told you you're not enough. Rise up from the lies of the enemy that tried to bury your calling beneath layers of regret. Rise up, child of God. The same spirit that raised Christ from the dead lives in you. You are not defeated. You are not abandoned. You are not forgotten. You are chosen. You are called. You are equipped for such a time as this. The help of God is not a myth. It is not a fairy tale. It is not reserved for a few. It is for the hungry. It is for the broken-hearted. It is for the weary soul crying out in the night. If that's you, then take heart. Your cry has reached heaven. Your pain has moved the heart of your Father, and He is coming not with just enough to get you by, but with more than enough to lift you up, fill you, heal you, and send you forward in power. But when He comes, when that help touches your life, don't keep it to yourself. This world is desperate for light. This world is hungry for hope. They are looking for someone who has seen the fire walk through the storm and still stands with their eyes toward heaven. Be that someone. Be the voice that refuses to be silent. Be the hand that lifts others. Be the testimony that reminds the broken that God still heals, still saves, still delivers. And if you're waiting, keep watching, keep pressing in. Don't let the lull make you doubt. Don't let the silence steal your praise. Heaven is heard, help is coming, but even now, before the clouds part, before the doors open, praise Him. Worship Him, serve Him. Because the greatest act of faith is not worship after the miracle. It's worship in the waiting. God is not done with you. You may have stumbled, but you're not disqualified. You may have been crushed, but you are not destroyed. You may feel small, but the Spirit inside you is mighty. There is still a call on your life. There is still a fire in your bone. And there is still a God on the throne who loves you more than you can imagine. And He's about to show Himself strong in your life. So step forward. Step out. Don't play it safe. Don't live another day beneath your calling. Let the help of God launch you into purpose. Let it awaken what's been sleeping inside of you. Let it push you into places where only faith can sustain you. And when the world asks how you made it, when they ask how you still have joy, how you still have strength, point them to the one who stepped in when no one else could. Point them to the help that didn't come from this world. Point them to the King of Glory. And never forget this. When God is about to help you, the impossible becomes possible. The broken becomes beautiful. And the ordinary becomes divine. Now go walk in that truth. Live in that fire. Let your life declare what your words cannot. The help of the Lord is here now. Move like it. Speak like it. Live like it. And never turn back. These words are not merely a comfort. They are a declaration of truth, a rallying cry for every believer who has ever stood at the crossroads of uncertainty, every soul burdened with doubt, every heart trembling at the enormity of life's trials. You, my friend, who may be listening right now with the weight of the world upon your shoulders, hear me now. Do not fear. God is in control. It is easy in our world to become overwhelmed. The news reports flood our screens with tragedies and uncertainties. The economy is unstable. Relationships falter. Health declines. And one calamity after another strikes without warning. We look around and we see chaos, confusion, suffering, and pain. And in that moment, the temptation to fear creeps into our hearts. But I am here to tell you, and I want you to hear me clearly, that God is in control. The universe, with all its complexities and storms, does not spin out of his grasp. You remember the story of Job? A man who had everything, a man whose life was marked by blessing, a man who was righteous before God. And in one devastating moment, it was all taken from him. His wealth, his health, his family, his friends, everything that he held dear was stripped away. And yet, in the midst of his deepest suffering, Job spoke words that resonate through the ages. Though he slay me, yet will I trust in him. Job 13:15. You see, Job knew something that we must all grasp. God was in control. Even in the depths of his despair, when it seemed that God was silent, Job never lost sight of the truth. In the face of unimaginable loss, his faith remained unshaken because he trusted in the sovereignty of God. Do not fear because God is in control. He is the same God who holds the stars in place, who set the mountains to stand firm, who commands the winds and the waves to obey his voice. His power is limitless, his wisdom unsearchable, and his love unfathomable. Do you struggle with fear, my friend? Do you wake up in the middle of the night, heart racing, wondering what tomorrow will bring? Are you gripped by anxiety over the future, unsure of where your life is headed? Let me speak directly to you. Do not fear. The God who has walked with you in the past will walk with you through the present, and he will lead you into the future. He is not a God who abandons his people. He is not a God who leaves us to wander in the dark. He is the shepherd who goes before us, leading us to green pastures and still waters. Fear comes when we begin to believe that we are alone, that we are abandoned, that we must face the trials of life by our own strength. But hear me now, you are not alone. God is with you. Do you remember the promise that he made to his people in Isaiah 41:10? Fear not, for I am with you. Be not dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you. I will help you. I will uphold you with my righteous right hand. God is not distant. He is near. He is not a passive observer of your struggles. He is an active participant working in your life to bring about his perfect will. There's a story in the New Testament that perfectly illustrates this truth. The disciples found themselves on a boat crossing the Sea of Galilee. A fierce storm arose and the waves began to crash over the boat. The disciples were terrified. They were experienced fishermen, but this storm was unlike anything they had ever encountered. They feared for their lives. And where was Jesus? He was asleep in the boat. Now think about that for a moment. The creator of the universe, the one who spoke the stars into existence, was sleeping soundly in the midst of the storm. And when his disciples woke him in panic, he stood up and rebuked the wind and the waves. And immediately there was a great calm. Why are you afraid? He asked. Do you still have no faith? Mark 4:40. Friends, this story is not just a lesson in the power of Jesus. It is a lesson in the peace that comes when we understand that God is in control. When Jesus is in the boat with you, there is no storm too great, no wave too high, no wind too fierce. The storm may rage, but Jesus is at rest, and so can you be. You can have peace because you know that He is with you, that He is in control, and that He will calm the storm in His perfect time. The Bible is filled with reminders of God's control over all things. In Psalm 46:13, it says, God is our refuge and strength, a very present help in trouble. Therefore, we will not fear, though the earth gives way, though the mountains be moved into the heart of the sea, though its waters roar and foam, though the mountains tremble at its swelling. This is the confidence we must have. The earth may give way, the mountains may tremble, and the waters may roar, but God is in control. He is our refuge, our strength, our help. He has not forgotten us. You see, fear is a result of placing our trust in the wrong thing. When we look at our circumstances, when we look at the chaos around us, we can easily begin to think that we are at the mercy of the storm. But we are not. We are not at the mercy of the storm. We are at the mercy of a loving, all-powerful God who holds the storm in His hand. He is the one who spoke the world into existence, and He is the one who controls it all. Nothing is too difficult for Him. I want to challenge you today, right now, to let go of your fear. Do not allow the enemy to grip your heart with anxiety and worry. Do not let fear paralyze you. For fear is the tool that the devil uses to distract you from the truth. Fear is the lie that tells you that God is not powerful enough to handle your problems. Fear tells you that your situation is hopeless. But the truth is this: God is greater than your fear. God is greater than your circumstances. And God is greater than the enemy who seeks to destroy you. You may be facing an impossible situation today, but I want you to remember this. God is in control. You may not see how He will work things out, but you can trust Him. You can trust that He knows what is best for you. You can trust that His timing is perfect, and you can trust that He will never leave you. There is a beautiful verse in Philippians 4:6-7 that I want you to hold on to. Do not be anxious about anything, but in everything by prayer and petition with thanksgiving present your requests to God. And the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. When we bring our fears, our worries, our anxieties to God in prayer, He promises to give us peace. A peace that transcends understanding, a peace that guards our hearts and minds. This peace is not like the peace that the world offers. The world offers peace that is based on circumstances, peace that is fleeting and fragile. But the peace that God gives is unshakable. It is a peace that comes from knowing that He is in control, that He is working all things together for your good, that He will never leave you nor forsake you. So I urge you today, as you face whatever challenges lie before you, to fix your eyes on the one who holds the world in His hands. Do not fear. The storm may rage, but God is in control. The enemy may seek to destroy you, but God is your refuge and your strength. The future may seem uncertain, but God has already gone before you. He knows the way and He will lead you through. Do not fear, for God is in control. Let that truth sink deep into your heart today. Let it be the foundation upon which you stand. Let it be the strength that sustains you in the midst of every trial, every difficulty, every storm. God is in control, and that is enough. You see, my friends, the message I'm speaking to you today is not a mere suggestion or a hopeful wish. It is the undeniable truth. the truth that is anchored deep in the very fabric of our faith. Do not fear, for God is in control. And if you believe this, truly believe it, then no circumstance, no hardship, no trial can shake the foundation upon which your life stands. It is a foundation that cannot crumble, cannot be moved, and cannot be torn down because it is built on the unchanging power of God. Look around at the world. And what do you see? Fear. Fear everywhere. Fear in the faces of the weary. Fear in the hearts of the broken. Fear in the lives of those who think they have no hope, no future, no way out. It is a poison that seeps into every corner of society, crippling souls, turning minds in circles of doubt, causing lives to become paralyzed by the what-ifs and how can I have a future unknown. But I am here today to remind you, if you belong to God, there is nothing in this world that can touch your soul in a way that God does not allow. Nothing happens in your life without His knowledge, His permission, and His purpose. God is not some distant, passive figure watching from afar. He is intimately involved in every single detail of your life. Do you understand that? Every struggle, every tear you shed, every moment of confusion and darkness, God is there working behind the scenes. His ways may be mysterious to us at times, and we may not always understand why He allows certain things to happen. But I promise you this, His plan for your life is perfect, and His will is for your good. He sees the beginning from the end, and He knows what will come of every trial you face. When Joseph was thrown into a pit by his brothers, he had no idea that it was God's plan for him to be sold into slavery, to rise up in Egypt, and to ultimately save his family from famine. No, he didn't see that. All he saw were the cold, cruel hands of his brothers pushing him into that pit, leaving him to die. But God was working in the background. God was in control. When Joseph was thrown into prison, when he was falsely accused, when it seemed like he was forsaken and forgotten, God was still with him, guiding him. And in God's perfect timing, Joseph became the second most powerful man in Egypt. And in the end, he was able to say to his brothers, "You meant evil against me, but God meant it for good." Genesis 50:20. Do not fear what is happening in your life right now. No matter how dark it may seem, no matter how hopeless the situation, God has a purpose. You may not see it today, but trust me, He is in control. And that is a power that the enemy cannot touch. The enemy would like nothing more than for you to live in fear, to live in confusion, to live as if there is no hope, no purpose, no meaning in the suffering you face. But I declare to you today that is a lie. I know some of you listening right now may be wondering, why has God allowed this to happen to me? Why am I suffering? Why am I going through this? It is not wrong to ask those questions, but let me tell you, you must not allow those questions to lead you to despair. Understand this. In those moments of suffering, in those moments when you feel abandoned, God is drawing near to you. It is in the crucible of trial that the fire of faith is refined. God does not waste a single tear. God does not allow pain without purpose. There is a refining process happening in your life. And though it may be painful in the moment, it is producing something far more precious than gold. Look at the lives of the apostles. Look at the life of Paul, who was beaten, imprisoned, shipwrecked, and left for dead. Yet he continued on, declaring the goodness of God, declaring that in all things God works for the good of those who love Him. How could he say such a thing? How could he, a man who had endured so much suffering, have such unshakable confidence in God's control? It was because Paul knew the truth that I am sharing with you now. Do not fear, for God is in. What I want you to understand, my friends, is that God's control does not mean that we will live lives free from struggle or pain. It does not mean that every situation will be easy or without difficulty. Far from it. But it does mean that we can walk through the storms of life with the assurance that God is walking with us. It means that we do not have to rely on our own strength or understanding to make it through, but that we can trust in the God who holds us steady, who calms the storm, who leads us with an unshakable hand. The world tells us to look to our own power, to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, to take control of our lives. But God's word tells us something different. God tells us to surrender, to lay down our fears, our burdens, our worries, our attempts to control the outcome, and trust in his sovereign plan. Trust that he sees what we cannot see, that he is working in ways that we may not understand, but that he is always working for our good. Take the example of Abraham. God called Abraham to leave everything he knew and step into the unknown. God promised Abraham that he would be the father of a great nation. Yet for years, Abraham and Sarah were childless. But God had a plan, and in his perfect timing, he fulfilled that promise. Abraham trusted God even when the path before him seemed unclear, even when he could not see how God's promises would come to pass. And because of that trust, God counted Abraham's faith as righteousness. There are times, my friends, when we must step out in faith, even when we don't understand. There are times when God calls us to walk a path that seems uncertain, to face a challenge that seems insurmountable. But do not fear. When God calls you, he equips you. When God leads you, he provides. When God sends you, he will not leave you alone. You may not have all the answers, but you can have faith in the one who does. You may not see the way ahead, but you can trust the one who holds the future in his hands. And this is where true peace comes from, not from the absence of trouble, but from the presence of God in the midst of trouble. True peace comes when we stop trying to control everything ourselves and start trusting in the one who is already in control. True peace comes when we surrender our fears, our anxieties, our doubts to God, knowing that he will make a way where there seems to be no. This is not peace that the world can give. The world offers peace that is fleeting, based on circumstances that can change in an instant. But the peace that comes from God is unshakable. It is the peace that Jesus spoke of when he said, "Peace I leave with you. My peace I give to you. I do not give to you as the world gives. Do not let your hearts be troubled and do not be afraid." John 14:27. That peace is available to you today, my friends. It is the peace that comes when you know deep in your heart that God is in control, that he is with you, and that he will never forsake you. So, I call upon you today, no matter what you are facing, no matter how uncertain the road ahead may seem, to stand firm in the knowledge that God is in control.
Do not fear. Do not allow the enemy to rob you of the peace that God offers. Do not allow the storms of life to steal your joy. Fix your eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of your faith, and trust that he will lead you through every trial, every tribulation, every hardship. You are not. God is with you, and he is in control. There is something profoundly powerful about understanding that God is in control.
I want you to let that thought settle deeply within your heart, because it is a truth that will change everything in your life. It will shift the way you see your circumstances, the way you view your struggles, and most importantly, it will transform the way you relate to God, the creator of the universe, the one who formed the stars, who holds the oceans in the palm of his hand, who spoke light into existence. All of that power, all of that majesty is in control of your life. Consider this for a moment. Who are we to question God's timing? Who are we to doubt his wisdom, his understanding, his will for us? When we find ourselves in a place of fear, when the storms of life begin to rage, when the shadows of doubt begin to creep in, we must remember one thing. We are not alone. We are never alone. God is with us. He has promised to never leave us nor forsake us. And if he is with us, if he is walking with us through every valley and every mountain, then there is no reason to fear. If you are struggling with fear today, if you are weighed down by the burdens of this world, I urge you to take a moment and reflect on the truth of God's sovereignty. Reflect on the countless times in your life when God has been faithful to you. Reflect on the times when you thought you couldn't go on, but God made a way. Reflect on the moments when you thought you were at the end of your rope, but God showed up and carried you through. He is not a God who abandons his people. He is not a God who leaves us to fight the battles of life on our own. He is the God who provides. He is the God who protects. He is the God who delivers. And most importantly, he is the God who is always in control. You know, there is a difference between knowing that God is in control intellectually and truly believing it in the depths of your soul. Many of us can recite scripture. We can quote the verses that remind us of God's power and control. But when the rubber meets the road, when we face real hardship, our faith is often tested. It is easy to say that God is in control when everything is going well. It is another thing entirely to believe it when everything around you seems to be falling apart. But it is in those moments, my friends, when it feels as though the ground beneath your feet is crumbling, that God's control becomes more evident than ever. It is in those moments that his strength is made perfect in our weakness. And it is in those moments that we must surrender fully to him, trusting that he is working all things for our good. You see, surrendering to God's control does not mean we are passive. It does not mean we sit idly by and do nothing. No, God calls us to act in faith, to move forward, to trust him as we walk through the storm. But even as we take each step, we do so knowing that he is the one who holds the future. We do so knowing that he has already gone ahead of us and prepared the way. We do so knowing that his purposes will not fail. The world teaches us to trust in ourselves. It teaches us to rely on our own strength, our own wisdom, our own ability to control the circumstances of our lives. But let me tell you something today that is a path that will lead to frustration, exhaustion, and fear. Because we were never meant to control everything. We were never meant to bear the weight of the world on our shoulders. But there is one who has already carried that weight. There is one who has already conquered the darkness. There is one who is in control, and his name is Jesus. When Jesus hung on the cross, he was not out of control. No, my friends, he was in full control. It may have seemed like his enemies had won. It may have seemed like the darkness had overcome the light. But in reality, Jesus was fulfilling the very plan of God. A plan that had been set in motion before the foundations of the earth were laid. Jesus was not a victim. He was the victor. And in his victory, he made a way for us to have peace, to have hope, to have life. Do you understand what that means for you today? Do you understand that no matter what you are facing, no matter how dire the situation, Jesus has already overcome it. He has already paid the price for your sins. He has already defeated death. He has already secured your future. And because of that, you can live today without fear. You can walk forward in confidence, knowing that God is in control. I know that there are some of you who are facing trials so great that they seem impossible to overcome. You are staring into the face of fear, and it feels as though it will consume you. But I want to speak to your heart right now and remind you, do not fear. God is in control. The same God who spoke the universe into existence is holding you in the palm of his hand. The same God who parted the Red Sea for Moses is the God who is making a way for you today. I know you may not see it. I know you may not understand how it will all work out. But trust me, God is working behind the scenes. He is weaving together the tapestry of your life in ways you cannot even begin to comprehend. And in his perfect timing, he will reveal his plan. And in that moment, you will see that every trial, every tear, every heartache was not in vain, but was part of his greater purpose. There are times, my friends, when it feels as though God is silent. There are times when it seems as though he is far away, but that is when our faith is most important. It is in those moments that we must trust in what we know to be true. Even when we cannot see it with our eyes, God is in control. He is at work even when we cannot see it. And he is always faithful to his promises. I want you to know this today, and I want you to hold on to it with everything you have. The God who created you, the God who saved you, the God who called you by name is in control of your life. He is not a distant, indifferent. He is your Father, your shepherd, your redeemer, and he cares for you more than you can possibly imagine. He knows your pain. He knows your struggles. And he is working all things for your good. I understand that the road ahead may seem uncertain. I understand that there are times when fear threatens to overwhelm you. But hear this. The road may be uncertain, but God is certain. His control is certain. His love for you is certain. And because of that, you can move forward with confidence, knowing that you are not alone, and that the one who holds the world also holds your life in his hands. So I urge you today, do not fear. Do not let the darkness of this world steal your peace. Do not let the uncertainties of tomorrow rob you of your joy. Instead, fix your eyes on Jesus, the author and perfecter of your faith. Trust in the one who is in control. Walk in the confidence that no matter what comes, he is with you and he will never leave you. And as you walk, remember this: God is in control, and that is more than enough. There is an undeniable truth that every believer must hold fast to the sovereignty of God. This is the bedrock upon which our faith is built. If we are to navigate the challenges and uncertainties of life, we must stand firm on this foundation, knowing that no matter the storm, no matter the trial, no matter the battle, God is in control. And when you truly believe that, it changes everything. What does it mean for God to be in control? It means that He is never surprised by what happens in your life. It means that He is not caught off guard by your struggles, your heartaches, or the difficulties you face. It means that before the first breath of creation, before you were even formed in your mother's womb, God knew every detail of your life. He knew the valleys you would walk through, the mountains you would climb, and He knew the exact moment when you would need His strength to carry you through. And He is with you every step of the way. But let me tell you this truth, this knowledge that God is in control requires us to surrender. It requires us to let go of our desire to hold the reins, to control every outcome, to manipulate every situation. And that is the hardest thing for us to do. We live in a world that tells us to take charge, to pull ourselves up by our bootstraps, to make our own way. But God's way is different. His way is the way of surrender. You see, when we surrender to God's control, we stop worrying about the outcome. We stop trying to figure everything out ourselves. We stop living in constant fear of what might happen next. We place our lives, our futures, our very hearts into the hands of the one who holds the universe. And when we do that, we can rest in the assurance that His plans for us are always for our good. You may be facing an overwhelming situation right now, something that feels impossible to overcome. Maybe you've been wrestling with fear and doubt. Maybe you've been struggling to make sense of the pain in your life. But I want you to hear me clearly today. Do not fear. God is in control. He sees your pain. He understands your struggle. And He is not distant. He is near. And He is at work in ways you cannot yet see, weaving together the threads of your life into a beautiful tapestry that will reflect His glory. Think about the story of Esther, a young woman living in exile, placed in a position of great influence by God. She found herself in a moment of crisis when her people were threatened with annihilation. And yet, in the midst of that peril, God worked through her in ways that no one could have imagined. Esther did not have all the answers. She did not know how God would deliver her people. But she stepped forward in faith, trusting that God was in control. And through her obedience, the nation of Israel was saved. She had no idea what God was up to behind the scenes, but she trusted Him anyway. And in doing so, she became a vessel of His power. My friends, we must follow that example. We must step forward in faith even when we cannot see the outcome. God does not always reveal His plans to us in advance, but He does give us the strength to trust Him, to follow Him, and to walk by faith even when the path is unclear. Think also of the great apostle Paul. Paul was a man who endured unimaginable suffering for the sake of the gospel. He was beaten, imprisoned, shipwrecked, and ultimately martyred for his faith. Yet in the midst of all his trials, Paul never wavered in his belief that God was in control. In fact, he wrote these powerful words to the Romans, and we know that in all things, God works for the good of those who love Him, who have been called according to His purpose. Romans 8:28. Paul had seen God at work in the worst of circumstances. He had seen how God used his suffering to advance the gospel, to bring others to Christ, and to strengthen his own faith. Now I ask you, do you believe that? Do you believe that in every circumstance, no matter how dark, God is at work for your good? Do you believe that even in the pain, even in the heartache, God is weaving a story that is bigger than you can imagine? If you do, then you will know that fear has no place in your heart. Fear cannot exist when you are resting in the assurance that God is in control. But there is another truth I want to share with you today. And that is this. While God is in control, we are not called to passively sit back and do nothing. God's control does not negate our responsibility to act. It does not mean we should sit idly by and let life happen to us. On the contrary, it means we should take bold, faithful steps, trusting that God will lead us, guide us, and give us the courage to move forward. When Jesus called his disciples to follow him, he did not say, "Sit and wait for me to make all your decisions for you." No, he said, "Follow me." And following requires action. Following requires trust. Following means stepping out in faith, even when you cannot see the entire path. It means taking the next step, even when you are unsure of what lies ahead. It means trusting that God will lead you, that he will guide you, and that he will give you the strength you need for every moment. And here's what happens when you take that step. You begin to see God at work in ways that you never imagined. You begin to experience his power, his provision, and his peace in ways that will strengthen your faith. You begin to realize that God is not just in control of the big things, but he is in control of the small things too. He is in control of your thoughts, your decisions, your circumstances, and your future. And when you surrender to him, when you place your trust fully in his hands, you begin to see the hand of God at work in every area of your life. But there's another aspect of God's control that we must understand, and that is this. God's control does not mean that he is a dictator or a tyrant. God is not sitting on his throne arbitrarily controlling everything in your life to suit his own purposes. No, he is a loving father. He is a good shepherd, and he desires that you would trust him, that you would choose to follow him, not out of fear, but out of love. God's control is not about domination. It is about invitation. He invites you into a relationship with him where you can rest in his love, where you can find peace in his presence, and where you can walk in the confidence that he is with you no matter what. God is not trying to control your life in a way that takes away your freedom. No, he gives you the freedom to choose whether you will trust him, whether you will follow him, whether you will surrender your fears to him. And when you make that choice, you find a freedom that is deeper than anything the world can offer. You find the peace that comes from knowing that God is in control. So my friends, I urge you today to surrender your fears, your anxieties, your doubts, and your uncertainties to God. Do not try to control everything yourself. Do not carry the weight of the world on your shoulder. God is in control, and when you trust him, when you surrender to him, you will find that his peace passes all understanding, and you will walk through life with confidence, knowing that you are held in the hands of the Almighty. When we talk about God being in control, we must understand that it is not just a comforting phrase. It is a foundational truth that anchors us in the most turbulent of times. This truth is not one that only brings relief when things are easy. No, this truth shines brightest in the darkest moments. It is in the valleys of life, when the shadows loom large, when the weight of fear presses against our hearts, that we need to embrace the powerful reality that God is in control. Now, many people wrestle with this idea. We look around at the chaos in the world, the wars, the suffering, the injustices, and we ask, how can God be in control of all this? We may look at our personal struggles, the unexpected losses, the unanswered prayers, and wonder how it all fits into God's grand design. But here's the thing. God's control is not passive. It is not detached. His control is sovereign, purposeful, and filled with love. God has not created the world and set it into motion, then stepped back and left us to fend for ourselves. No, he is actively involved, guiding, shaping, and refining every detail. Even when we cannot see his hand at work, he is still in control. When you look at the story of Joseph, you see a man who faced betrayal by his own brothers, imprisonment for a crime he didn't commit, and years of apparent silence from God. Yet God was using those very trials to prepare him for a purpose far beyond his understanding. Joseph's journey was not random. It was part of God's sovereign plan to save an entire nation. Do you see? Even in his darkest days, when Joseph felt alone and forsaken, God was in control. And this is what I want you to grasp. God's control is not limited to the things that make sense to us. We have a tendency to look for signs of his sovereignty in the tangible, the visible, the things that we can understand. But God is working even in the unseen, in the areas where our human minds cannot comprehend. He is using your struggles, your pain, your doubts, your moments of uncertainty, and he is weaving them into a greater narrative of redemption and grace. You may not see it now, but in God's perfect timing, he will reveal the beauty of his plan. But the key, my friends, is trusting him in those moments of uncertainty. Trusting that his control does not always look like what we expect, and that his purposes are higher, wider, and deeper than we can imagine. Trusting that the God who spoke the universe into existence, who hung the stars in the sky and set the earth upon its foundation, is the same God who is walking with you in your most difficult moments. He has not forgotten you. He has not abandoned you. He is with you and he is in control. God's control is not about coercion. It's not about forcing us into some predetermined mold, but rather about calling us to trust him, to surrender our will to him. You see, this is where the depth of our faith is tested, when we are asked to release control. We live in a world that values self-sufficiency, independence, and autonomy. We are taught to be in charge of our own lives, to take matters into our own hands. But God calls us to something different. He calls us to a radical trust, to a willingness to lay down our desires, our plans, and our fears, and allow him to take the lead. It is often in our surrender that we experience the most profound sense of peace. It is when we relinquish our need to control, to manipulate, to solve everything ourselves, that we open ourselves up to the abundant peace that only God can give. The peace that transcends understanding, the peace that guards our hearts and minds in Christ Jesus. It is not a peace that comes from a lack of challenges or hardship. It is a peace that comes from knowing that despite the difficulties, God is in control. Let me be clear, God is not a God of confusion. He does not leave us wandering aimlessly through the wilderness, unsure of where to go or what to do. No, he leads us, and his leading may not always be in the way we expect. It may not always be in the timing we desire. But rest assured, he is leading us. He is guiding us with wisdom that is beyond our understanding, with a love that surpasses anything this world can offer. And though we may not always understand his path, we can trust that his direction is always good. Think of the Israelites as they journeyed through the wilderness. For 40 years they wandered, facing hunger, thirst, and the harsh realities of the desert. But God was leading them. He did not abandon them. He provided for them in miraculous ways. Water from a rock, manna from heaven, a cloud to guide them by day, and fire to lead them by night. They may not have always understood why they had to go through the wilderness, but they could trust that God was leading them to a promised land. And in the same way, my friends, God is leading you. He is leading you to a place of spiritual growth, a place of greater trust, a place of deeper intimacy with him. You may not understand every twist and turn of the road, but you can be sure that he is with you every step of the way. And one day when you look back over your life, you will see how he used every moment, every challenge, every trial to bring you closer to the person he created you to be. But I must also remind you of this. God's control does not mean that we will never face hardship or suffering. In fact, Scripture tells us that we will face trials. It tells us that we will have moments of affliction. Jesus himself said, "In this world you will have trouble," but he also said, "Take heart. I have overcome the world." John 16:33. Do you hear that? You may face trouble, but you do not face it alone. You face it with the one who has already overcome it. And because of that, you can have hope. Because of that, you can stand firm. God's control is not about shielding us from every storm. It is about providing the strength to weather those storms. It is about giving us the assurance that no matter what happens, we are in his hands. The winds may howl, the waves may crash, but we are safe in the shelter of his care. He is our refuge and strength and ever-present help in trouble. And as we take refuge in him, we are empowered to stand strong, to endure, to persevere. So I urge you today, whatever it is that you are facing, whatever fear has gripped your heart, whatever mountain seems insurmountable, do not fear. Do not allow the lies of the enemy to rob you of your peace. Do not allow the circumstances of this world to make you doubt God's goodness or his sovereignty. Trust that he is in control. Trust that he is working all things together for your good. Trust that his love for you is unshakable, unchanging, and that nothing can separate you from that love. The road ahead may be uncertain, but the God who walks with you is certain. His control is certain. His promises are certain. And when you walk in that truth, you can walk with confidence, knowing that you are never alone, never forsaken, and never beyond the reach of his love. When we speak of God's sovereignty, it is not simply a theological concept to be understood. It is a deep soul-stirring truth that transforms everything about how we live and move in this world. This is not a truth for just the good days when the sun is shining and everything feels right. No, this is a truth for the hard days. This is the truth for when your world feels like it's falling apart. When the clouds of doubt and fear seem to cover every inch of your sky. When everything seems out of control. It is in that very moment that you must remember God is in control. It is easy to trust God when everything aligns perfectly. It's easy to sing hymns of praise when our lives are smooth, when our health is strong and our families are at peace. But the true test of faith comes when everything seems uncertain, when the storms of life crash against us and threaten to drown us in their fury. And it is in those moments, my friends, that we are called to lean into the truth of God's sovereignty even more deeply. God does not promise us a life free from hardship. He does not promise that we will never face pain, that we will never know the bitterness of loss or the weight of suffering. But he does promise that he will never leave us. He promises that he will never forsake us. He promises that he will be with us through every valley, through every dark night, through every storm. And that is the foundation of our hope, that no matter what comes, we are never out of his reach. Here's a story in the Bible about a man named Job. If anyone could say that life was unfair, it was Job. He lost everything. His wealth, his health, his children, everything he held dear. And in the midst of his suffering, his friends came to him and they tried to reason with him. They tried to explain why all of this was happening to him. But Job didn't have the answers. He didn't know why his life had taken such devastating turn. Yet in his suffering, Job declared something incredibly powerful. Though he slay me, yet will I trust him. Job 13:15. Do you hear the depth of faith in that declaration? Job was saying, even if I don't understand what's happening, even if I don't get an explanation, I will still trust God because I know that he is in control. I know that even in my suffering, his purposes are higher than my own understanding. That is a powerful faith, my friends. That is the kind of faith that God is calling us to. It's not the kind of faith that depends on everything going our way, but the kind of faith that holds on to God even when everything seems to be falling apart. God's control is not always something we can see in the moment. We want understanding. We want God to explain why things are happening the way they are. But there are times when God's answers are not immediately clear. And that's where faith steps in. Faith is not about seeing everything laid out before us in perfect clarity. It is about trusting that God sees the big picture even when we cannot. It is about trusting that God is good even when the circumstances do not make sense. It is about believing that he is at work even when we cannot see it. And here's the truth. There is no situation too far gone for God. There is no problem too great for his power to overcome. There is no heartbreak too deep for his healing. The same God who spoke the world into existence, the one who created the stars and calls them by name, is the God who walks with you through every trial, every loss, every moment of pain. And he has the power to turn your ashes into beauty, your mourning into dancing, your despair into hope. There are times when we feel as though the world is spinning out of control. We look at the news and see the chaos, the division, the violence, and the suffering. It can feel as if everything is crumbling around us. But even in the midst of this, God is still in control. He is still sovereign. And while we may not understand his ways, we can trust that he is at work. He is not indifferent. He is intimately involved in every detail of his creation. It is important to remember that God's sovereignty doesn't mean that we don't have a role to play. God invites us to be part of his plan. He calls us to be his hands and feet in the world, to be agents of his love, his justice, and his mercy. And when we surrender to his control, we become part of something much bigger than ourselves. We become instruments of his purposes on this earth. We begin to see how God is working not just in our own lives, but in the lives of others around us. We begin to realize that even when we can't see the full picture, God is working through us to accomplish his will in ways that are beyond our comprehension. I want to tell you today that you don't need to be afraid of surrendering control to God. The world may tell you that to give up control is to give up power, to give up influence, to give up freedom. But in God's economy, surrender is not weakness. Surrender is strength. It is the strength that comes from trusting in the one who is in control, the one who has all the power, the one who is all-knowing, all-loving, and all-wise. And let me remind you of this. God's control is not about making us puppets on strings. He gives us free will. He allows us to make choices. But even in our choices, even in our moments of rebellion or doubt, God is still sovereign. He can redeem even our mistakes, our failures, and our wrong turns. There is nothing that happens in our lives that is outside of his ability to redeem. God is not the author of evil, but he can use even the darkest moments to bring about his perfect plan. And when we surrender to him, we allow him to take the broken pieces of our lives and turn them into something beautiful. So I challenge you today, in the midst of your trials, in the midst of your doubts, to place your trust fully in God's sovereignty. Do not be afraid. Do not allow fear to dominate your heart. Rest in the assurance that the one who holds the universe is holding your life. He is in control, and he is good. He is faithful. He is always working on your behalf. And in his perfect timing, you will see that he has been leading you, guiding you, and loving you every step of the way. As I stand before you today, I want you to know one thing with all your heart. You are not alone. You are never alone. No matter how difficult your journey may seem, no matter how dark the night, there is a God who sees you, knows you, and is with you. He has not left you. He will never leave you. His love is stronger than any fear, more powerful than any circumstance, and greater than any trial you may face. And my friends, this is the moment to take hold of that truth, to let it sink deep into your heart and soul. God is in control. You do not need to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders.
You do not need to be consumed by worry, anxiety, or fear about what lies ahead.
You have a Savior who is with you, who is guiding you, who is shaping you, and who is working in ways you may not yet understand. But I ask you today, as you reflect on your life, your struggles, your purpose, will you trust him? Will you lay down your fears, your doubts, your need for control, and give your life fully into his hands? Will you choose to believe that the same God who holds the stars in place has a perfect plan for you, even when the road seems uncertain? This is not a call to passive waiting. It is a call to bold action in the faith that God is leading you. The Bible says, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the stronghold of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid?" Psalm 27:0. When we truly grasp that truth that God is our light, our salvation, our stronghold, there is nothing in this world that can shake us. Nothing can defeat us. No trial can overcome us because we are standing on the rock of our salvation. And that rock is unshakable. You are called to greatness. You are called to live with purpose. You are called to rise above the fear and confusion that the world wants to impose on you. Don't settle for anything less than God's best for your life. Don't let the worries of this world keep you from stepping into the fullness of what He has prepared for you. You have been created for such a time as this. There is a purpose for your life that is greater than you can comprehend, and it is only when you surrender to God's control that you will truly find Him. So today I challenge you, don't wait any longer. Don't wait for the perfect moment, the perfect circumstances, or the perfect understanding. Take that step of faith. Trust that God is in control. Surrender your fears. Surrender your worries. Surrender your need to understand everything. And simply trust in the one who holds all things in His hand. There is power in surrender, and there is freedom in trusting God with your whole life. When you take that step, when you put your full confidence in the fact that God is sovereign and in control, you will experience a peace and joy that the world cannot take away. You will see His hand at work in ways you never imagined. You will live a life filled with purpose, joy, and strength. Not because of your own might, but because of His power working in you. Do not fear. God is in control. And because of that, you can walk forward with courage, knowing that He is leading you every step of the way. You are not defeated. You are more than a conqueror in Christ Jesus. So go forward with faith, with hope, and with the boldness that comes from knowing the Creator of the universe is on your side. Take hold of this truth today and let it transform every part of your life. For God is in control, and nothing is impossible for Him.